8 Features of the Greatest Creator. Xiefeng. 1. The greatest creator is unique and exclusive. The unity of opposites is the magic key to understanding the universe. All matter and patterns exist relative to each other. Without any one, no other can exist. Examples include yin versus yang, positive versus negative, interior versus exterior, male versus female, rigid versus pliable, honor versus disgrace, clockwise versus counterclockwise, with versus without, tangible versus intangible, life versus death, light versus shade, dynamic versus static, strong versus weak, noble versus humble, rich versus poor, will versus woe, merit versus fault, gain versus loss, advance versus retreat, pro versus con, big versus small, up versus down, more versus less, front versus rear, true versus false, good versus bad, beauty versus ugliness. Fragrant versus stench, mortal versus immortal, Buddha versus demon, fairy versus ghost, material versus psychic, heaven versus hell, and fairyland versus mortal world. They each rely on the other for their existence. Just as a sheet of paper has a front side and a back side, there would be no front side without the back side. The obverse side depends on the existence of the reverse side and vice versa. Nevertheless, the principle of the unity of opposites is unable to explain all phenomena because everything has an exception. Even the generality contains particularity. Apart from the male and female is the neuter. The critical point between quantitative and qualitative changes does not follow the principle of the unity of opposites. Rather, it is unique. Wuji generates Taiji, Taiji generates the bipolarity. Wuji refers to the state when there was no substance in the universe and only the energy existed. The intangible and invisible energy, when moving irregularly, formed an energy cluster, or Taiji. Please drink all the milk in the flat-bottomed glass. Leave the glass uncleaned for 12 hours and then observe the shape and structure of the glass bottom. This might help you to understand how Taiji is formed. The first unconscious movement of Taiji has triggered the orderly movement of the entire energy, producing the time and space in the human sense. This is how the bipolarity is generated, which is actually the phenomenon of material and non-material, tangible and intangible, following the principle of unity of opposites. We can understand that the bipolarity is formed in such a way, the greater the energy is, the more intangible it is and vice versa. This is vital for the birth and formation of the universe. The great form has no contour, stated by Lao Tzu, actually refers to the energy cluster before the bipolarity was born. As a matter of fact, it is the Taiji. Mao Zedong thought is a form of energy cluster which influenced the life and controlled the words and deeds of many people. However, who can tell the color and shape of Mao Zedong thought? The reason we are talking about Taiji here is that we wish to have knowledge about it. Taiji comes from Wuji and is originated from the disorderly movement and collisions among the intangible shapeless energy. You can observe the disorderly movement of the molecules via microscope. The original energy movement is just like the molecular movement. After the Taiji energy cluster was formed, the energy world started its orderly movement. The physical substance came into being where the energy was small. And the intangible non-material was generated where the energy was in large amount. Take a man as an example. The part where the energy is small is the flesh and where the energy is great is the mind and soul. Thus, Taiji generated the bipolarity, or the physical substances and the intangible non-material. As a result, the pairs of negative and positive, yin and yang, light and darkness, good and evil were born. Everything in the universe was then created out of the Taiji and bipolarity. According to the Holy Bible and the Quran, Jehovah and Allah are the creators of all existence. Undoubtedly, they are the Taiji in Chinese Taoism. Though they have different names, they are identical in nature. The greatest creator is Taiji and Taiji is the greatest creator. The Wuji produced Taiji which then generated bipolarity, and everything in the universe comes from this bipolarity. The two sides of bipolarity are the unity of opposites. Though it comes from Taiji, the latter is unique and exclusive. It is not the unity of opposites. As a result, there is only one greatest creator who does not have an opposite.